because it's so cold out right now, I think we're going to talk a little bit about something warmer. Although I will say, I did it a lot in the winter as well.
Yeah, that sounds a little risque, doesn't it? Go ahead and say
camping. We're going to talk about camping, and I know
I grew up in the country, so I
so
never
already camping.
I like lived in camp. So yeah, I grew up in the woods, and we had some great neighbors. We built clubhouses like every summer. We went and raided dumps for wood and stuff to build your clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
A certain person might have burnt down a particular tree house that two of us built and the rest were not involved in. Yeah, it was charred. It was charred. And as an adult, I look back at it. At the time, we were just mad. Nobody thought, like, oh, you could have burnt down the woods. But, so yeah, that was my childhood experience. We had a little section with a little pond that I named Lothlorien, and they just let me own it because they were really good friends. They went along with my geekness. So, yeah. But I did not go camping per se until...
Okay. Well, we built a lot of stuff like that. There was an empty field near the house that I grew up in, and we built stuff there too. But we did do a lot of camping. However, I will say that my father's idea of camping was not a tent and not all that. We had an RV. Okay, we had a microwave.
I think they call that RVing.
They call it glamping now, really, almost. But I mean, we had a TV. We had all this stuff and everything else.
Did you have indoor plumbing?
Well, if you could call
in the
it,
RV, indoor plumbing.
Yeah,
absolutely. So these days I
Yeah.
camp in the Cottage, and I'll send you a picture for that to put up. But yeah, we have no indoor plumbing at the moment. It's just an outhouse. So I feel, despite the fact it is lovely inside and getting nicer every year as we work on it, the fact I still have to pee in the outhouse.
Yeah,
adds a sort of rusticness to it.
So we used to do a lot of winter camping as well, because we used to do snowmobiling. So we would go up into the Adirondacks. We would go to Old Forge, New York, and I cannot tell you the number of times that in a you're snowmobiling, it's cold, you gotta go, and it's an outhouse on the trail, because you're out on the trail, and it's like, let me tell you what, and back in the old days, when I was a child, because again, we always say this, back in the old days, like when I got older, I had a two-piece where it would be like, snow pants with the bib overhauls, and then you put a coat over it. But originally, it was the one-piece snowsuits. Do you remember those? The one-piece snowsuits? So, you're in an outhouse on a trail, freezing cold, and you're like, zip. It's cold.
I will say, I did go to a Girl Scout camp one winter, and I hadn't thought of this before. We were sort of running through topics. And overnight, a skunk got underneath the cottage that we were staying in at Girl Scout camp. And just the
smell.
And every time I smell skunk, every time I smell skunk, I remember that camping trip.
Camp is smells are a very strong memory trigger. So yeah,
that was awful.
But summer, I did summer camp as well. But I did day camp when I was a kid. My mom would send us during the day. Go to camp during the day.
Her mother is a lovely woman whose that was Romeo.
Cat is back. Thanks, Romy.
But she is very wise.
Very wise. Go to summer camp, children.
I've always had so much glee about my children going to school, my husband going to work. I love Mondays, so you'll see my Monday glee posts all the time. And I was recently told by somebody, I finally understand why you love them so much.
Why you have glee.
Like, yes, I love you all dearly, but
go away. That's about it. I love you, go away.
So, but yeah, for camping, people who follow me on Facebook or social media see a lot about the camp we've been renovating now for a couple of years. Yeah, and I go out. Susan and I are planning in nicer weather.
We will do a Trippin to Holly's camp, Holly's Cottage,
and do some from out there. So,
have you put anything like that in any of your books? Because I have Firefly Wishes, which is set at a summer camp for transplant children and their families.
In just one thing, it is in my mind's eye, it is my cottage. Now, and there is and I talk about the town she walks to go to this bar, that it's really like the town consists of a bar, a post office, and a church, kind of town.
There you go.
We have one that we go through that's farther from my cottage than I made it in the book. So I took some liberties.
Some liberties, you have to.
But and she did have indoor plumbing, which I do not.
Thank goodness.
So
Thank goodness.
but
for
in my
that.
mind's eye, it really was my cottage, and so there's a lot of that. I go out in the nicer weather in the spring, starting in the spring. Now that we have a wood stove and I can heat things up even if it's cool out, I go out at least once a week and write out
Hang
there.
out. Yeah, right.
And
Cool.
I love it. I love being all alone and
Quiet.
with nothing else to
Nature.
do.
Yeah.
So camping.
How about
Tell us
you?
about you.
Do you camp? Tents, RVs? You know?
And what books have you taken with you when you camped? Because, let's
well,
bring back the books a
I
little.
do have to say, I read a heck of a lot of books in the many, many different trailers, but so did my parents. My parents were massive readers. In fact, I can remember in one of our trailers, there was a tip out that was the living room, okay? And that was when we got really fancy.
She is fancy.
And there were cabinets all across, and they were filled with books, just filled with books. So
There is nothing wrong with that. The first cruise I went on was before I had a Kindle, so not camping, but same sort of thing. I had a separate bag
of
that I
books.
took books
There
on
you go.
because I knew
So-
I would be getting up early, and
Really?
I read, I don't know, 3 or 4 books while we were gone. It was wonderful.
Absolutely.
So.
We will see you next time.